Hey, it's another Friday, and surprise, surprise, here we are. I was given just enough time to get both of our chapters up, and so, well, without further ado, here is Chapter 5. Maychex went with Freya, and Garashi went by himself, and so did Mataro. Mataro brightened up. She felt more free running through the jungle alone. Garashi had Maru come with him. "Hey, you, what are you doing, cute little guy?" he giggled. Maru squeaked. A week of travel went by. Maychex and Freya made it to the village of eels. Garashi almost came upon the village of camels by taking a few wagons, and Mataro was a day away from the village of elks for the same reason. She got a ride from a few centaurs on the way. Maychex was holding Freya on his shoulder, because Freya sprained her ankle. "We need to get a boat," Freya said, patting Maychex's head. "You need a boat, huh?" the pirate-looking guy said. "I've got the best in town," he said, lifting his eyebrows. Maychex huffed and kept walking. "Don't think so. In return, you'll want me," Maychex said, without eye contact. Garashi was walking in the desert, but it wasn't as hot as he thought it would be. "Look over there, Maru. That must be the camel village," Garashi said, pointing to a cluster of blobs in the distance, so he and Maru picked up the pace. Mataro walked through the tundra with a coat she grabbed from the Minotaur mansion. She saw the elk village up ahead. "Whoa, that's far," she whispered, looking down at the brown buildings up ahead, starting up in a jog. Maychex huffed and saw a boat shack down the road. "Freya, there's the boats. You go on ahead," he said, taking her down. "Okay, Maychex, got it," she said, starting to go down the street. She saw a yellow towboat, green paddle boats, and a purple motorboat. "How much for the purple one?" she asked, pulling out a sack of money. The store manager looked at the money. "You'll have to pay double coming from this snake village. Sorry, love," he sighed. Freya knew that was true, but she didn't think it was all that fair. "How about rent?" she said, pulling out a snake gem. He inspected the gem carefully. "I don't know about that, young one," he said, setting down the gem. Just then, Maychex stomped over into view and banged his hand on the counter. "Do we have a problem?" he asked calmly. With a gulp, the store manager shook his head. "Good," Maychex said with a smile. "Then we'll take the boat." The manager nudged it over. "Of course, sir," he whispered. They took the boat to the decks and set it up. Mataro finally made it to the elk village and needed some help for sure. She went around asking for help. "I could help you, young lady. For your fur, of course," a shady guy said, pointing to her tail. "No way!" she said, walking away quickly. "I'll give you the yeti wool I have if you work for me for a month," hissed an elf. "I don't have that much time," Mataro sighed. She walked through the streets and everyone wasn't much help. "I would help you for free," the boy said. He looked homeless and hungry, so what could he do? "What's your catch? Everyone seems to have a catch to their deal," Mataro said skeptically, dropping her ears. "Oh, nothing really. I just want to help you, I guess," the boy said somberly, using a double-bladed spear to hold him up. Mataro wanted any help at this point, so she agreed. He stretched up and smiled, with wool pelt covering his legs and a coat with a hood covering his eyes. Mataro just didn't trust him too well. "What's your name?" she asked, giving him a nudge with her tail. He froze. "What just touched me?" he asked. Mataro was confused. "Are you blind? I have a tail," she said. "Mostly blind," he replied. Mataro still thought he was very nice. "Well, it's just my tail," she said shyly. "You have a tail?" he asked. "Yes, I have a tail," she said, wagging her tail. Behind the pelt, she could see something trying to move. "So, do you have a name?" she asked, smiling. "My name is Vex." They walked through the tundra and came upon a mountain with a cave in it, a huge one. Here it is, the Yeti den, he said, grabbing out a spear. It's sunset. We should do it in the morning, when they're probably more asleep, Motaro said, watching the sun. At night, Vex woke up and went hunting. He took off his pelt and ran off. In the morning, Motaro woke up and couldn't find Vex. Where did he go? When did he go? Freya said, not wanting to do it alone. Not long later, as Motaro was getting everything ready, Vex came up with a deer and a bunch of lemmings following him. I'm back, he said, dropping the deer. She walked over and sighed in relief. Thank goodness, she said softly, and set up a fire. Garashi finally made it to the village of camels. Water first, he whispered. He got some water and 2 canteens of extra water and some food for his trip. Mira squeaked and purred on Garashi's back. Soon they would find the leotard tree. They had a map that would take them there. Come on, Ryu, this will be easy, he said, patting Ryu's head. We've been out here for days, Freya said, looking down at the water. Matrix huffed. They've been searching for whale crystals for 2 days. They haven't found anything. I, sadly, cannot swim, so I can't help you very well, Matrix said, driving the boat out farther away from land. I'm still trying, though, Freya said, hoping they'd find it. They stopped at a big rock jutting out of the water, and Freya dived down as far as she could go. She looked at every crystal and almost found it, but it was the wrong crystal. It's a light purple crystal that looks like a whale tail, Matrix grumbled. Freya came out for air. I think I saw it, she said, and quickly went back down. It glowed bright and made a weird groaning noise like a whale. Freya grabbed it. It's too heavy. And I think it's teal instead of purple, she thought. She dropped it and went back to the surface as fast as she could. She was running out of air. Matrix huffed. You didn't get it, he frowned. Freya was gasping for air. Yeah. She wiped her hair out of her eyes. It's too heavy. I need a rope. She got into the boat. I'll stay on this rock so you know where to go, she said, climbing up to the rock. Matrix sighed. Okay, Freya, I'll be back as quick as possible. So he drove away in the boat. Psst, kid, I need to talk to you, a voice echoed in Freya's head. All the foxes will listen to Kuroshimu, but some might not listen to Garashi, it echoed again. Freya realized that it was Fekfanis. She was talking to her. So why are you bringing this up now? She whispered out loud. They need more proof from Garashi that Kuroshimu is talking too, Fekfanis said, ignoring Freya. I still don't know why you're bringing it up, Freya said annoyedly. You already ruined my life. Don't make it worse, she grumbled. There was silence until Matrix came back. I got enough rope, he shouted excitedly. She got up and in the boat, and Matrix handed her an eelberry. You're going to need the energy, he laughed. Okay, fine. If I tug on the rope 2 times, pull up, okay? Freya explained, as she ate the berry. Motaro threw a flare into the cave. Let's lure him out, she whispered. A low, grumbling roar came from the cave. Here we go, Vex mumbled, raising his spear. Motaro growled and gripped onto her flail and started swinging it a little to get momentum ready to beat down the Yeti. All the lemmings ran off just in time for the Yeti to burst out of the cave with a mighty roar. Motaro swung her flail at the face of the beast, but it grabbed it and yanked it down, pulling Motaro into his reach. Motaro, let Vex save you, Marblissu said. It'll save you and your friends great time, he added thoughtfully. Motaro pretended to pass out and didn't even know what else Marblissu could have wanted her to do, but she trusted him. Vex looked up at the beast. Oh, no, you don't, he growled. He shot the spear faster than Motaro thought he could, and it hit right next to his eye. With a huge roar of pain, the Yeti tried to smash Vex. Vex ran very quickly out of the way, past normal human speed. "Motaro, wake up!" he yelled, but Motaro didn't. She had her eyes tweaked open slightly so she could see what was happening, but closed enough that it looked like she was unconscious. The Yeti roared so loud it blew the hood right off of Vex, revealing his glowing black eyes. Vex grumbled and ran straight toward the Yeti. He went right up to his spear and pulled it out. He turned to Motaro and stabbed the thumb of the hand holding her, and making the Yeti drop Motaro. He wasn't fast enough to catch her, so she actually got hurt and passed out for real this time. He shouted at the Yeti and threw the spear straight through the mouth. It almost went through the neck, and the Yeti wheezed and fell down, dead. And without him knowing, there was a second Yeti in the cave. He is even more angry than the first. "Come get me!" he screamed, and the Yeti grabbed him. He was preparing to eat him until Vex slipped out, but the belt covering his legs slipped off, revealing his fox legs and tail. "Well, at least she's not seeing this," he whispered, kicking the Yeti's jaw. The force of the kick dislocated the jaw, and the Yeti whimpered and ran off. Vex grabbed Motaro, forgetting about his pelt. "I'll help you, Motaro," he said, walking back to their camp. Hiroshi made it to the Litar tree, but it was guarded and about to be chopped down. "I did not come all this way for nothing," he growled. Ryo made a sad little purring noise and licked Garashi. He grabbed what he could. "Well, I'll find a better material," he said, hand to fist. He went back to the village of camels and bought a bunch of silk. "I'm sure I'll make this work," he whispered to Maru. He put it all in a wagon and headed home. Freya tied the crystal and tugged at the rope, holding on tight, helping Maychex get the crystal up to the boat. "How big is this?" Maychex grumbled. They finally made it to the surface, and it was as big as Freya. "Well, how will we get it on land?" Freya sighed. "We should tie it to my back," he suggested. Freya nodded and helped get it onto his back carefully. They slowly drove back to shore. "It's wide, but not too thick," Maychex observed. "That'll make a good collar piece," Freya nodded. Motaro woke up from a cold wind and shivered as she sat up. "Wind on my neck, dark clouds at my head, blue shivers down my spine, there's blood, I hope it's not mine." Vex sang outside the tent, cooking a puffling over the fire. Motaro couldn't tell if there were 2 foxes or 3, but she did see some Arctic foxes munching on something. She rubbed her eyes and shook her head in a similar way of a dog. "Vex, did we get it?" she asked softly, getting out of the tent. She walked out and tripped over a chunk of ice, falling down on Vex. When she landed, her lips smudged against Vex's lips. "Ah! Ew! 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 Sorry! Sorry!" she shouted, getting off of him immediately. Vex stood up shocked and wiped his lips. "Do you do that a lot?" he asked. Motaro blushed. "No, that was my first time, and I did not mean to, I swear," she said, still trying to shake off the awkward feeling and wrinkling her nose. She noticed that there were 2 Arctic foxes, and Vex was the 3rd fox legs. Whoa, wait, you..." She froze. "Could it be? I thought our Johnny died," she thought. "Yep, our Johnny is there, and he has fangs, demon eyes, and a tail, all from her," Marblissu told her. Vex scratched the back of his head. "Yep, I kind of hit it. I don't tell very many people. In fact, you were the first," he said, blushing and looking down, away from her eyes. The blush was definitely not from the cold. The foxes started playing around with the bone and tackled into each other. "They come out of nowhere. Don't ask," he chuckled. Motaro's tail wagged, and she thought the kiss was probably not a kiss, but it was still very nice, even if it wasn't really an official one. "So what was that melody you sang?" Motaro asked, wrapping up. a scratch the ice had given her. Vex looked blankly at Motaro. She didn't know why she was suddenly starting to like that look. It's my mother's lullaby. It's the only thing she did before, our Johnny. She never finished it, he said, grabbing a puffling, and ate it. They ate some food before taking the Yeti bowl. You should come with me, Motaro said, hoping to get Vex to come. Vex's tail wagged uncontrollably. Oh, I couldn't. Everyone would see, he said, chasing his tail to a stop. What do you think I'm doing? Motaro scoffed, hoping she could convince him. Plus, all my friends would love to see you, she added. Vex couldn't leave her yet. He was really starting to like her. I'll ride to the edge of the village. I'll think about it till then, he said, knowing he would most likely say yes. Motaro just smiled and started loading the wagon she got for the wool. Vex knew she liked him. He could really see them being good friends. He found an ox that he could hook up to the wagon, and they strapped down the wool, too. Motaro finally realized what Marblissu was saying. He had Archani. She just needed to come home with her. Alrighty, that is all for Chapter 5. Hope that gives you enough to feed your curiosity. And I will see you next Friday.